Hello everybody and welcome back yet again to another drum playthrough review. Thank you all for tuning in and stopping by for this next playthrough review. It's great to have you all here. And for everyone who's brand new, hi and welcome. My name is Nick. I'm a drummer, multi-instrumentalist, guitarist, whatever else you want to call me. I also do some music mixing and mastering. And the reason why we like to do these videos is because we like to take the technique of drummers who are much better than us, much more famous than us as well, and drummers who have a lot more experience. Take their technique, analyze it, break it down to a nice and easy to digest form, and use that technique so that way we can ourselves become better musicians and much more experience. And we've got quite an experienced drummer on here today. We've got a drummer who kind of helped shape tech death in a very interesting way, with a band that's been very highly influential in a lot of different spheres of technical death metal. So, I'm sure you guys have probably heard of this tech death band before if you are into tech death, and if not, let me give you some education. These guys came around probably like the late 90s, like early 2000s era, and they really did shape how tech death is supposed to sound. So this is a band that we're reviewing called Origin. I've heard of Origin. I used to really like Origin back in the day. I don't really listen to them a whole lot anymore for a couple of reasons. I've always been very firm about the fact that their drumming is on point. It's been highly influential, and the dude man was able to pioneer blast beats in a way and in a speed that was really unheard of at the time that they came out. The guy that we're reviewing today is Longstreth, John Longstreth. He's a man who helped to pioneer a lot of different things about technical death metal, including the blast beats at completely ridiculous speeds, double strokes even, which was really a thing that not a lot of people had heard of, especially in the heel-toe format, and also just really insanely fast and crazy fills the entire time. If it wasn't for these guys, there wouldn't be as many tech death bands out there playing what they're playing now, because these guys helped to really shape the face of it. He uses rudiments out there that not a lot of people really use that much anymore. And he also, I believe he doesn't use triggers, but also I believe that on his kicks he probably does use them more than likely, because usually with people who do double strokes, they do. But we're going to go ahead and check this out. This is a playthrough that he did with his band Origin. It's called All Things Dead. But it'll be interesting for you guys to learn. I think you guys are going to find a lot of interesting technique out of this one, so we're going to go ahead and get into it. All right. And without further ado, ladies and gents, let us get into this playthrough. This is All Things Dead. So you can already hear what I'm talking about when it comes to the speed of this song. And this is a playthrough with mono cymbals as well, so he's using all the Dark series, which, controversially, I actually like the Dark series. Not a lot of people actually do. I like how bright they sound for, you know, being labeled the Dark series symbol. So let's just look at the technique he's using as well. He's using a lot of wrist motion with some fingers. He's using the classic form of double strokes. He's also very tight with his playing as well. Not tight as in the sense that he's, you know, like his motions are tight or anything like that, but he's very centralized. His movements are very economically placed. There's not a whole lot of movement going on around there. You'll notice too, he's got his hi-hat placed out of the way in a different format than most people would have. It's kind of placed a little bit more forward. And now it's about to get way faster. Look at him, he's using one foot for that. And ankle motion as well. Very good variance of his technique. Very good power as well. But yeah, his movements, as you can tell, they're very... His whole drum setup is all set up around not having to move his arms around too much to conserve energy. Right there, we got Gravity Blast. He's kind of leaning his body a little bit more into the Gravity Blasts, which is it's normal. It's normal. It's not something that's like unheard of or anything like that, but it is something that kind of shows you that he's putting his all into it. What an excellent playthrough that was. So yeah, man, we got John Longstreth, the legendary drummer of Origin. So first of all, insanely highly technical song, insanely fast blast beats, insanely fast double kick. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in this song. It's really fast. It's really high technicality. There's not really a whole lot of breaks in this song where he kind of goes and switches to a simpler beat or anything like that. It's pretty much just constantly just top-lined. When you're playing stuff that's constantly top-lined like that, where you're just going full power with it all the time, you can get worn out pretty quickly. And there's a lot of things that you can do to help relieve that tension that you're going to have from getting worn out so quickly. So that way you can have longevity on your instrument. So that way you can continue to play at high speeds, at high technicality for long periods of time, and not burn up so much energy throughout your set. And one of the things that you'll notice that he does to help achieve this is the economy of his drum setup. He's keeping everything really nice and close within a good arm's reach, so that way he doesn't have to reach too far in order to hit certain things. He's keeping everything pretty much within like this reach right here that he can turn his elbow. So that way he doesn't have to use a whole lot of energy. He's not involving a ton of other muscle groups as well. Here's the thing. This is a very effective way to set up your drum kit. Setting up everything in a way that makes it so that way you're burning less energy is going to be ultimately your goal. There are some things that are about his setup that aren't necessarily like, oh, you know, the most energy conscious per se. For example, he's got some cymbals that are way above his head like that, so that way he kind of has to reach a little bit more for those. And while yes, it's not necessarily ideal if you're trying to, you know, go for a setup that saves more energy, he's not really using those cymbals a whole lot in the mix. He's mostly sticking around with just his hi-hat, his ride cymbal, maybe his stack off to the side, but everything else that's up there he's rarely using, so he doesn't really have to move too far up there for stuff. And even then, he's not having to reach his arm very high up above his heart level per se. Fun fact, if you have to move your arm above your heart level, your heart has to work harder in order to push against gravity to fight to get blood up to your arms in order to help replace the oxygen that your body's burning up with your forearms and with your wrist motions and finger motions and whatnot. So sometimes setting your cymbals a little bit lower below, like at least even with, like, you know, the shoulder level or whatnot, so that way you don't have to reach as far for it. Your body doesn't necessarily have to fight gravity as hard in order to pump blood throughout your whole body. So if you're going to be using a whole lot of these other extracurricular cymbals like your chinas and crashes and whatnot, then you may want to consider, you know, if you're using them more in your mix or anything like that, or you're using them more in your writing, you may want to consider maybe keeping their level a little bit lower, so that way they're a little bit more accessible and you don't have to use as much energy in order to achieve it. If it's in the case like this where you're using it to kind of be a little bit more flashy, then go for it. Keep it way up there. You know what I'm saying? Do all these cool crossover moves in order to do it. Be a good showman. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's finding a drum setup that works the best for you. There's no one universal way that's going to work best for everybody. Everybody's got different tastes and everybody's got different views on how they do stuff. So don't ever let one person and their drum kit setup decide how you're going to play. It's all, at the end of the day, very, very much subjective. Each person has a different setup. Just take into consideration with the type of music that you're going to be playing, maybe your setup is going to be a little bit more focused on saving energy as compared to showmanship. That's just mainly the goal that I'm getting at. But yeah, looking at his technique, very good wrist motion. He's keeping very relaxed and loose. He's not, you know, moving his arms around too much or anything like that. There was a little bit of bread cutter technique in there. And what bread cutter technique is, for those of you who don't know, basically what that is, he's basically using his wrist motion and he's moving his arm back and forth like this, kind of like he's cutting a slice of bread. And what that does is that helps to kind of relieve some tension off the shoulder muscles and whatnot by doing that. And it can help you to, you know, burn a little bit more of that lactate out of your muscles. So that way you're not necessarily as worn out as easy. It just helps keep things moving, so that way things are worked out of the muscles, all the junk's worked out of the muscles, so that way you can keep on playing for longer. You'll notice on some of the other parts of the song, he switches from doing the double strokes to doing the ankle motion instead. And this is good. Being able to learn how to do multiple different techniques will help you out tremendously, especially because when you start to get tired with one technique, you can just switch to another, and therefore your longevity is increased. Definitely, this man spent many years practicing, and you should do the same. Spend lots of time practicing this kind of stuff, and at least 10 minutes a day, I say. At least getting in 10 minutes a day helps you to cover all the basics, helps start to get things instilled into your muscle memory, and then you can build endurance from there later on. But definitely practice should be a very main central focus when you're doing all this kind of stuff. So yeah, what an excellent playthrough with John Longstreth. That's absolutely phenomenal. I do like that playthrough style. I like the energy that he was putting out. It was really good. Really good. I liked it a lot. And with all that being said, y'all, that's going to be the end of this video. So here's just a few ways y'all can support me. So for one, you can like, share, comment, subscribe, all that really good stuff. You can check out the playlist I have with videos very similar to this, and you can also check out the links I have below in the description with my Spotify and my band page. And with all that being said, y'all, that's the end of this video. So thank you everyone for tuning in and stopping by. It's been great having y'all here, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.